When the sky fell, the sky didn't darken slowly. It cracked. One moment, Earth hummed with its usual chaos, traffic horns, drone deliveries, children chasing sucker balls in dusty fields. The next, clouds parted like torn fabric, and the Valkyrie ships descended in silence. No booming threats, no ultimatums, just cold, glinting metal slicing through the atmosphere. The first wave wasn't an assault. It was a warning. Entire power grids blinked out in coordinated silence. Satellites dropped from orbit like dead birds. Mobile networks went mute. Panic surged across cities as the modern world fell to its knees in under 12 minutes. Then the real invasion began. Beams of soundless energy sliced through skyscrapers in London, Seoul, Sao Paulo. Populations were corralled into zones marked by tall, obelisk-like devices that emitted a dull thrum, psychic suppression fields designed to pacify and disorient. People stumbled like drunks, minds fogged, fear replacing reason. The Valkyrie emerged soon after. Tall, lean creatures of rigid posture and scaled armor, their faces unreadable behind chrome-plated masks. No voices, no demands, only execution. Resistance was met with casual annihilation. Tanks melted like wax under their plasma lances. Fighter jets turned to ash mid-flight. Governments fell in hours. Command chains dissolved. Cities turned into herded prison blocks lit by the dull violet glow of alien technology. The Valkyrie called it planetary harmonization. A global broadcast flickered into existence on every remaining screen. The alien voice was mechanical, filtered, bored. You are not conquered. You are upgraded. Resistance is futile. Compliance ensures survival. The Valkyrie Eternal accepts your submission. In a makeshift shelter beneath the shattered remains of a Chicago office tower, Elena Ramirez watched the broadcast through cracked lenses. Blood matted her temple. She had lost her unit 2 days ago when a suppression drone vaporized their convoy. Around her, children whimpered. An old man muttered prayers. No one cried out loud anymore. Pain was a luxury they could no longer afford. Elena clenched her jaw. She stayed at the screen until the words blurred, then faded. Compliance ensures survival. She spat. I'd rather die human than live as their pet. Her voice was hoarse, but firm. Others looked up. No one spoke. That night, somewhere in the ruins of Moscow, a teenage girl jammed a metal spike into the base of a Valkyrie patrol's hovering sensor array. It sparked once, then exploded, taking the patrol with it. In Johannesburg, an electrician rewired a radio tower to transmit one message. We are not done. In Beijing, a group of students buried a Valkyrie foot soldier under a controlled building collapse. They left behind a graffiti message, spray-painted in red. Come break us. We dare you. The Overlords didn't know it yet, but in trying to shatter Earth, they had cracked open something far more dangerous. The will to fight. The fire they fed. The Valkyrie expected surrender. What they got was silence, and then sparks. In the months following their invasion, the world didn't bow. It splintered, scattered, and dug in. Cities became mazes of ruined concrete and smoldering metal. But in that ruin, something ancient stirred: resistance. They had studied Earth's history: wars, genocides, collapse, and reconstruction. The Valkyrie believed humans were chaotic, emotionally unstable, too tribal to coordinate under pressure. They expected infighting, desperation, mass compliance. They underestimated what humans become when everything is taken from them. In the highlands of Argentina, a resistance cell known only as Red Ash formed beneath a gutted hydroelectric plant. Its members were farmers, miners, and a former aerospace engineer named Diego Marquez. He had once designed luxury space elevators. Now, he built bombs from kitchen appliances and scavenged alien circuitry. One such bomb, a curved shell of steel filled with thermite and hacked Valkyrie power cells, was carefully lowered into a canyon pass where a convoy of alien transports was expected to travel. From his perch above the canyon, Diego watched through scorched binoculars. The night was still, unnaturally quiet. Then he saw the convoy, 6 skimmers, each the size of a truck, floating noiselessly over the dirt road like vultures on invisible wings. Diego whispered into his cracked radio. Now! A second later, the canyon lit up like a new sun. The blast folded the lead vehicle in half. Screams, not human, echoed in the darkness. Across the planet, scenes like this played out day after day. Farmers became saboteurs. Children ran messages across ruined streets. Musicians composed resistance songs played over hijacked Valkyrie speakers, distorted but defiant. In Lagos, a group of teenagers used a 3D printer to replicate Valkyrie access chips. They opened supply depots and flooded the streets with food. In Alaska, a pair of rangers lured a Valkyrie scout team into the woods with false heat signatures. When the aliens reached the clearing, they were met with jury-rigged flamethrowers and buried explosives. The Valkyrie high strategist aboard the orbital dreadnought Intractable Purpose watched the reports with growing confusion. They have no central command, no coherent supply chain, yet losses increase daily. How? His second-in-command, a younger Valkyrie tactician, replied flatly, "They are not coordinated. They are angry." This wasn't war by the Valkyrie's standards. It was chaos, and it was working. For every Valkyrie drone brought down, 100 humans witnessed it. For every lost patrol, 10 new fighters joined the resistance. Martyrdom became its own kind of weapon. The Overlords tried to respond with terror, public executions, psychic broadcasts of captured rebels begging for mercy, but it only steeled humanity's resolve. Images of defiant death spread like wildfire, painted on walls and burned into memory. They thought fear would break humanity. Instead, it lit a fuse. You can't break what bends. The Valkyrie believed fear was the ultimate lever. When that failed, they turned to something worse: control. They deployed the mind cradle devices across occupied zones, black spires humming with low, subsonic pulses. Invisible waves radiated from them, engineered to suppress serotonin, heighten dread, and crush the will to resist. For most species the Valkyrie had conquered, this was the breaking point. Brains turned to soup, hearts to ash. But with humans, it didn't go as planned. The first test zone was in what remained of Prague. After 48 hours of exposure, Valkyrie monitors expected mass compliance. Instead, they observed a spike in violent outbursts, bizarre creativity, and, most troubling, laughter. Laughter in a war zone. What the Valkyrie couldn't process was that humans had evolved in chaos. The same biological quirks that made humans emotionally volatile also made them adaptable. The Mind Cradle's psychic suppression didn't pacify them. It lit a psychological firestorm. Pain became focus. Dread became purpose. In the shattered metro tunnels of Prague, Dr. Hanna Kovac, once a neurologist, now a medic for the resistance, began recording the effects. "These devices don't destroy will," she whispered into a salvaged recorder. "They magnify it. It's like trying to smother a campfire with gasoline." She and her team began collecting data. They discovered that proximity to the mind cradle triggered adrenal responses humans could weaponize. Fighters entering the zones showed higher endurance, faster reaction times, almost euphoric resilience. Hannah began mapping exposure times, drawing up rotation schedules so soldiers could charge before missions. Soon, the resistance in Europe fought with inhuman ferocity, sprinting through gunfire, taking wounds that should have dropped them, screaming battle cries into the storm. Valkyrie foot soldiers began refusing assignments in mind cradle zones. In North America, resistance engineers did one better. They hijacked a mind cradle, rewired it, and turned it into a beacon. Instead of suppressing, it broadcast hope, memories, songs, messages from families. The first transmission was simple: "You're not alone." The device pulsed through the ruins like a heartbeat. Wherever its signal reached, humans stood taller. Some wept. Others loaded their weapons. In orbit, Supreme Strategist Vorkan reviewed the data in silence. The reports made no sense. "They have no hive mind," he muttered. "No genetic resilience. They should be broken." His adjutant replied, voice tight with fear. "They don't break. They bend. And then they strike back." What the Valkyrie never understood, what they couldn't comprehend, was that humanity's greatest strength wasn't power, or unity, or technology. It was stubbornness. In every ruined city, every shadowed mountain pass, every flooded plain, humans bent under pressure and then stood up again. Blooded, changed, but not gone. And in the void between stars, other conquered species were listening, watching, waiting. For the first time in generations, someone was fighting back and winning. The day we stood tall. It began with a whisper, a rumor drifting through the stars, carried by fleeing Valkyrie scouts and smuggled resistance transmissions. Earth is rising. By the first anniversary of the invasion, Earth's surface was still scarred, its skies patrolled by drones. But something had shifted. The Valkyrie were no longer advancing. They were holding ground. In South Asia, a massive coordinated strike, codenamed Operation Saltline, saw 12 resistance cells hit Valkyrie garrisons in perfect unison. They stole weapons, data cores, and a critical piece of alien tech known only as a neural anchor. When studied, it revealed that Valkyrie command nodes were psychically linked. Sever one, and you sever many. This was the crack humanity needed. Elena Ramirez, now a battle-hardened leader of the global resistance, stood in a forest bunker near Quebec reviewing holographic maps with former soldiers, hackers, and ex-factory workers turned tacticians. "This is it," she said, voice level. "We hit the Central Command spire in Nairobi. Once it goes down, the Valkyrie network collapses across 3 continents." Someone asked what the odds were. Elena smiled grimly. "Terrible. Just how we like it." At dawn, under a solar eclipse that turned the sky to shadowed silver, the operation began. Resistance units surged from tunnels, forests, sewer lines. Drones hijacked by teenage programmers swarmed overhead, dropping decoy flares and jamming Valkyrie comms. Hackers looped surveillance feeds, broadcasting fake images of retreating human forces. It was the perfect lie. Chaos scripted down to the heartbeat. Elena led the charge. Explosives planted along the outer wall detonated in sequence, cutting through alien alloy like fire through ice. Plasma fire lit the air, but the humans kept coming, wounded, screaming, relentless. Elena's squad punched through the spire's lower levels, carving a path with grit and stolen Valkyrie rifles. At the top, they reached the neural relay chamber. There, guarded by towering Valkyrie elites, pulsed the heart of the Overlord command system, a glowing column of writhing energy. They fought with knives and fists when the ammo ran dry. Elena reached the relay, bleeding, burned, and drove a repurposed Valkyrie power cell into its core. The explosion was blinding. Every Valkyrie on Earth felt it. The psychic arm that bound them together shuddered, and then died. Across the globe, their formations collapsed. Orders were lost. Units turned feral, confused, leaderless. In orbit, the intractable purpose received no reply from the surface. Strategist Vulcan ordered a retreat, but the stars were no longer safe. Ships from other species, once conquered, now rising, began appearing on long-range scans. They weren't coming to surrender. They were coming to learn. The humans had not just resisted. They had become the spark. In a war they were never meant to survive, Earth did more than fight back. They showed the galaxy something the Valkyrie feared above all. That even when beaten, outgunned, and isolated, humanity would rise, fiercer, cleverer, more united than ever before. You can invade a world. You can crush its cities. But you can't break what refuses to die.